Yo, what's up guys? John Boogle here. We're finally here back on Battle Cats after a long time, quite a while actually. Of course, I've been having a blast with the Dark Souls series. Go check it out if you haven't already, if you are interested in that. But today, when I hopped on Battle Cats, I saw Crazed Tank is here and I said, why not? Let's go for it. This is the lineup we're gonna go with. Of course, I might add like Hacker or something else just in case. Of course, I could bring Wolf here as well, but I think that would make it a bit too easy. Even with our low levels, we have the strategy on lockdown, so I don't see any issues at all. Of course, I'm going to be using my own guide. So yes, this video is going to be pretty similar to the one I did before, which is this one. Go watch that if you haven't already. Anyways, let's continue. We only have enough energy for one attempt, but one attempt is all it should really take here. So we're gonna knock it out. So it's very simple as always, just stack up cash in the beginning before the base hit moment. In the guide I also mentioned it's ideal to hit the base after the douches come out. So that is exactly what we're gonna do. I think the biggest reason a lot of people fail in this level is because they don't get set up in time. Now in the guide I also mentioned to have at least one attacker for the waves of peons here, and in that video I used Cyborg or Paris. In this one we don't really have one, but in my second lineup I will bring one. So it is a lot more tedious to deal with the peon waves without one, but that means we can just CPU throughout the whole level if we do not bring one. Because of course a common misunderstanding is people think that Cyborg or Paris gets outranged, you shouldn't use it in the stage, when actually you should for the peons and just not use it for when Crazed Tank is alone. It's as simple as that. You'll see a huge difference between runs here when we're using a main attacker for the peons versus when we're not. Because as you can see here, we're being pushed back really far already. Yeah, there's nothing really much else to say for this run other than just CPU spam and turning off sniper whenever Bahamut is about to attack. Fighting this close to the base is a good and a bad thing. A good thing is we can stack a bunch of hacker cats very safely, and the bad thing is of course not being able to handle the peons in time means Crazed Tank pushes forward. Of course sniper cat power up can help combat that, but it won't be too reliable all the time. Another thing I could have done here is fill in the extra spots in the lineup with just more stallers. That also means reaching the cat limit quicker, which could mean longer intervals between when you can actually send out your stallers when you hit the limit. And of course with Hacker just chilling there, eventually we're gonna just keep sweeping all of the peon waves very quickly, and Tank will just get murdered right there. But yeah, this was already very easy enough with just Hacker in the lineup, so of course we're gonna go into the second lineup here. Hey, there we go, we got it. Crazed Tank. Hey. Okay, now let's test out the other lineup here. So we're gonna get rid of Hacker and just simply replace it with the one and only Castaway Cat. You must be wondering why I'm not bringing Paris. I'll explain that in a bit. But yeah, let's hop in. So with this, the strategy essentially stays the same, but of course, instead of using Paris, we're using Castaway, which is a big thing here because Castaway has a long enough cooldown to where we can actually just CPU the rest of the level and be safe on cash all the way through. And at level 25, Castaway's DPS is enough, and the range is good enough to handle the peons in safe distance from Crazed Tank, and in some occasions it will be able to get hits on Crazed Tank as well, which can speed up the level. But as mentioned before, the strategy is exactly the same. We want to of course build up our cash in the beginning and make sure not to hit the base too early and lure out the peon waves first. And in the guide I did mention the douches. That is the best opportunity to of course push. So when the douches come out, that's when we want to push, and that is exactly what we're gonna do here. I also did mention that cat limit is a pretty important thing, so we don't want to hit the cat limit and then hit the base and then Crazed Tank comes out and just demolishes everything because we don't have our meat shields or stallers up there in time. So we have to be wary of the cat limit. That's why using even more stallers can be very risky, especially for the beginning. Now in the guide, of course, it was the non-CPU guide, so you have to keep in mind of the enemy timers and the cycles. And if you do that, you can correctly send out your attacker, which in the video I used Paris or Cyborg to handle the peon waves. And in this one we're using Castaway, but of course we're using CPU, so it's pretty much just reliant on how much we can hold off until Castaway gets up in time. So while using a CPU strategy is very reliable and it's also very convenient, but at the same time, it's not 100% safe. So you gotta keep that in mind. So if you're bad at keeping track of enemy cycles and timing in your attackers for the peons, then CPU is very reliable for that. Or it's just the convenience that you just want to use CPU. But without it, we're gonna have to be careful and alert. The big thing I mentioned in the guide also is Bahamut is not always going to stay alive, and you must be wondering, how do you beat the level if Bahamut is constantly gonna die? Well, that is of course cycling. Well, we can't properly cycle with using a CPU strategy, but it is very much still a Bahamut cycle level. If you don't understand what I mean, it's of course letting the peons push forward, and when Bahamut is recharged, using Bahamut to cycle it on all of the peons and just wipe them out all at once, and then just continue doing that over and over again until you eventually take down Crazed Tank. It's a very simple level, but it's a very lengthy one if you have very low level units. With the level 25 units, for sure it is possible with just Bahamut and Dragon alone as their only attackers for the level, but it is not reliable because once again the peons will push forward very hard if you don't have an attacker to handle them, and if you don't have Bahamut in cycle to take care of them. Of course, when you're using CPU, you can't properly handle all of those cycles as you would like to, so it is very random and it is very risky just using Bahamut and Dragon alone. Now at the same time, there is some situations with CPU that can work in your favor, like Seafarer just obliterating some of the peon waves and saving your Bahamut from being killed. That can happen quite a bit and Bahamut will stay alive quite a long time, and maybe you'll even be able to stack up 2 Bahamuts and that will go pretty well until Crazed Tank decides to just one-shot both of them at the same time. That's why it's a very bad idea to stack in the level, because unless it's Cyberpunk or something in very safe distance, Crazed Tank will just one-shot obliterate your entire stack. Then you have nothing to defend yourself with. So cycling is the ideal way to go about beating Crazed Tank and probably the most efficient way, like I did mention in the guide. Now this battle did take quite a long time. Well, it is Crazed Tank with its behemoth amount of health. It did take longer than the previous level, but that's because we were using Hacker Cat in the previous lineup. In this one, Castaway there handling the peons, Bahamut is able to stay alive longer, and at many points throughout this level we were able to stack up 2 to 3 Bahamuts on Crazed Tank, and previously in the lineup we weren't able to barely stack 1 against Crazed Tank because the peons just kept pushing forward because we did not handle them in time with our low levels. During this lineup, Crazed Tank also did not manage to get as close to the base as it previously did, and of course one of the big reasons there is because we didn't let the peons push through. But other than that, that's pretty much it. This is a situation where Castaway's longer cooldown is actually very helpful, so we don't just drain our cash out. But yeah, the Redux Craze guides, more of them will be coming soon, and of course the updated or the Redux Urdun Wolf guide will be coming soon as well. So lots of big videos ahead, so keep an eye out for those. And of course, the Dark Souls series, if you are interested in that. It's pretty fun. Anyways, drop a like if you enjoyed this video, of course, subscribe if you're new, join the hashtag Boogle gang, and it's been John Boogle, and see ya.